Welcome back, Lani. It is lovely to have you again as always, and we would love to delve into a little bit more background about the map of meaning and your relationship with the book and how you bring it to life. So the question I really want to pose to you is, how did you get involved in the meaning part of this map?
Well, indeed. I always think if you're going to go to a workshop where someone's talking about meaning, it's really nice to know where they're coming from.
Yes.
So I think in my own case, I grew up shortly after the war with people who'd survived the war. And, I think of myself as a 6-year-old in Tasmania, and we're sitting above a photographer's shop, and there's 2 Russians who've survived the war. There's a Polish couple, a count and countess, who've survived the war and are somewhat surprised to find themselves farming in Tasmania. There's an Austrian woman who's a Jew who survived the war with her son. And they're all sitting there. My father's German, he was interned to New Zealand, my mum's a New Zealander. And they are looking at and talking about, how do we make sense of this? Now, I'm a child, I'm 6, so I don't really, understand everything they're saying. But I am listening deeply to what the question is. How, what do we lose? How do we recreate that here? What are we doing here? How do we create lives that feel purposeful to us in this new world, given that some of the fundamental things that we believed have been shaken to their foundations by what we've been through?
Huge.
So I took that question on. I'd already moved country 5 times by this time. It was a pretty personal question for me in a way. And God bless him, my father thought that, a 6-year-old should be included in these conversations and thought that I was capable of, engaging with them.
Right.
As we all are as human beings, because it's a profound human question. What are we here for? What are we supposed to do? So I went to university later on. I read lots of books. I studied philosophy. I studied comparative religion. Lots of interesting stuff, but nothing that I felt really gave me the help that I wanted as clearly as I wanted it. Until in my 50s, I came across the map of meaning.
Wow.
And I just went, that's it. That's what I've been looking for. That allows me to, in a practical way, engage with these profound philosophical questions in the daily business of making decisions about how I live my life.
Wow.
And that's what it does for people. So at that point, I just said to Mario Lane Lipsy-Isma, this is the most wonderful thing. We have to get this out to people because it can offer people a way to answer those questions that the people that I grew up with
Spending a lifetime
could
searching.
not answer so easily.
Wow, that is amazing and so profound that there actually is something that is tangible and in reach now. The
Absolutely. Well, it maps what humanity's been wrestling with since the beginning of time. These are age-old questions, and we haven't had a simple framework that actually allows us to take these questions out of ourselves and look at them here, objectify them, and then make decisions. So it integrates those inner feelings of, I don't know what I'm doing here, this isn't making any sense, with my, for example, sense of faith or my sense of what life's about. Now, the interesting thing is, it's not prescriptive. It doesn't tell us what we should do. It says these are the dimensions in which we're trying to find answers. So at the heart is inspiration, and for some people, inspiration is definitely God. Yes. And for other people, it might be, as it was for my mum, I think, sometimes the great mystery.
Yeah.
For other people, it's goodness.
Yes.
There's atheists, there's absolutely nothing of spirit there, but they have something at the core, which is the wellspring of their lives. That's the thing that gives their life a centrality of meaning. And at the same time, we have to, it's really important for me that people get to be able to make their own meaning. This is not a prescriptive thing. And I think so often we're told what meaning we should have.
Yes.
Well, no, actually, we've all got our own meaning, but it fits onto this framework, and this framework allows us to find out and, in a way, own our own meaning. Because when I found out what was meaningful to me, I could be much, much more acting of it. I could take that and do things with it, rather than sort of hope I was finding something that was useful, which is very vague.
Yeah, and I think from listening to you, it allows people reach into the gifts. We talk about, when I was growing up as well in Ireland, you'd sit up there in the pulpit, oh, you've all been given these gifts, and you're sitting there going, well, I can't see any presents wrapped up. So,
always a disappointment.
I know, you're like, oh, again. So just the ability to put a framework and your inner voice, your inner gifts, and bring those out, I believe the map gives that.
Well, if you think that at one level, to have a life is an extraordinary thing,
Yes.
good or bad, however,
Yes.
whatever we're given with it. It's an extraordinary experience to have. And to be able to die at the end of it going, I made the most use of my gifts. I lived life to the full. I did what felt meaningful and important to me.
Huge.
My life was purposeful, and I can die grateful because I found that. That's an enormous thing. And the thing I think that even really excites me as much as that is that it's something we all agree on as human beings. That we have already, looking at a somewhat turbulent future, a simple map which we fundamentally all agree on. So we have something we could start to use to think about how do we solve major social problems, how do we rethink our communities. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and then I get too excited.
Oh no, it's fantastic. Well, look, we want to bring this to as many people as possible. Excellent. And we look forward to some webinars as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Brilliant. Look, thank you as always, Lani. It's a pleasure to talk to you.
Well, it's such a joy to talk about this.